Game number 1, ladies and gentlemen, between mYinsanity and the Sandwich Monkeys, the semi-final at the last qualifier here for the Summer Regional in Europe. We have Sky Temple as our first map, and the team that actually takes this one now will advance already and qualify, which is going to be pretty awesome. The loser in the series, on the other hand, still has a chance in the loser bracket to make it into the top 4 and then qualify for the first regional final. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So everything's on the line here. The Sandwich Monkeys with a new and reformed lineup, of course. mYinsanity, they just came back from Seoul, Korea, where they played at the global finals, and now they have an opportunity to actually show their skills here in that the last chance to qualify for the final in the UK. Falstad banned out and Illidan banned out. We've already seen in patch 17.0 how strong Illidan actually is in this particular setup and how powerful he can be. In this case right now, mYinsanity, they don't get the chance to lock him down. Here on Sky Temple, the Sandwich Monkeys, they make sure that they ban him out first. And of course, the meta changed a lot. We've seen the meta heavily influenced by the global finals in Korea, by especially the Chinese and the Korean meta as well. But the latest patch, of course, changed quite a few things too. With Li Ming already secured as a damage healer, mYinsanity is off to a pretty decent start, but we're having the Sandwich Monkeys already with that Muradin lockdown. And Muradin is, of course, a huge priority for a lot of the teams. Another hero that we could see very early in the draft is especially also TSaM. TSaM is a hero that has been played by the Korean and the Chinese teams in Seoul a lot. We've seen oftentimes beginnings with like Muradin Greymane, definitely true, but an early TSaM allows you to put a huge focus with a double support on one of the melee assassin, maybe like even a Sonya as a bruiser type tank at the front line, or of course then also that Thrall, Illidan sometimes, and in previous games that we've seen in this particular patch, we've also seen this used with Kerrigan, by mYinsanity actually as is. So for them, it's a bit of a question of how do they actually start into the draft right now. Thrall is still available. You can still play him here. You can combo him off with that early TSaM. mYinsanity has shown a bit more of a focus on Uther, which is actually also one of the things where teams started to adapt a bit to what the Asian teams were doing in the global finals. And there is that TSaM. So mYinsanity is actually thinking about him, and they lock him down. So TSaM plus Sonya, and that caters very much to what I've been talking about a bit earlier. They can now, with that particular setup, start to go also into an additional Uther, into an additional Rhaegar, for example, to have the double support combo to allow Sonya to go really deep in these fights. For the Sandwich Monkeys, they could theoretically, of course, try to lock that down a little bit by maybe banning out an Uther or Rhaegar and then picking the second up for themselves. It would still leave mYinsanity with an opportunity to go into the potential Tyrande here. And that would, of course, also be a very solid start for them. What they are more afraid of, Sandwich Monkeys that is that ETC. And that is another tribute to what we've seen in the global finals, where especially MVP Black, where E-Star, Edward Gaming, and TNL have been playing a lot with ETC. So that hero, a huge threat, of course, and probably the second best warrior that we have right now. And for that reason, ETC banned out here by the Sandwich Monkeys. mYinsanity, they're getting rid of Zagara. And I mean, in this setup right now, if you have Zagara as an option, one of the big deals is, of course, the bot lane, where you can just like set her up solo and then get a lot of vision also with those creep tumors and get good control and also lane push. And the Sandwich Monkeys with a bit of an adjustment here when we're talking about like the meta change that we've seen. Muradin together with the Stitches already picking one of the very, very hit point heavy tanks away from mYinsanity. And mYinsanity, no real surprise here after Rhaegar was picked up to go now into an Uther. We've been talking about it a little bit when the draft started, that TSaM plus Uther would be a good start. That Sonya, of course, is not going to be the only frontliner on the other hand. So Sonya is definitely going to get a bit of company at the front. We could see, for example, a Johanna being taken here. Diablo is another option that they have. It's actually one of the heroes that has been played by mYinsanity already quite a bit. It was a very different map, though, where Diablo has a few advantages, especially when you play him on Infernal Shrines, where we have seen him last played by mYinsanity. One of the biggest advantages that you have on this map is that once you take position on the shrine, you can control the choke points where your opponent is moving in, and also are able to get a lot of AoE damage out to take these minions down. It's interesting that mYinsanity is actually starting to shift the support a little bit. They are going up against the Stitches and the Muradin, and with Charism plus TSaM, they have the chance to go away from a Divine Palm and instead go into the seven-sided strike, which would make the life of those heavy hit point heroes a bit more tricky. So this is actually something that we could see right now, but an interesting adjustment to move away from Uther with the Divine Shield from Sonya and into this one. So that is actually like a pretty cool a pretty cool move that they have. The Johanna, on the other hand, doesn't really surprise too much. As I said, we could have seen a Diablo. I'm pretty sure that if this was Infernal Shrines, Diablo would probably be the preferred option for them. But as we are on Sky Temple, there's a little bit of a different priority on this map right now. You could have played with that Diablo. Still, of course, that Lightning Breath style that we've seen on Infernal Shrines can also allow you to really get control over one of the temples. But the Johanna is definitely pretty difficult to kill and very sustainable at the front line. So that's going to work for them. Again, an adjustment. Sylvanas has been played in previous games now as well, and she is actually one of the big winners of the last patch, 17.0. So her Q focus in terms of builds is going to be something that we are looking at again. We haven't really seen Mind Control yet, but a lot of teams have been screwing with Mind Control and have also been trying to use that. Of course, the Wailing Arrow is still incredibly powerful, but this is actually something that we could see in action right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, game number 1, mYinsanity going up against the Sandwich Monkeys. Sky Temple is the map, so let's jump in right away. Sky Temple is the first map, and we have our match starting up between the Sandwich Monkeys and mYinsanity. To the left side of the map, Phelox on Rhaegar. We're seeing ETF on top on Myrddin at the front line, Lumpy on Greymane here today, ADRD on Stitches, and Crosby is playing Sylvanas. The new lineup of the Sandwich Monkeys is incredibly powerful, and these guys have actually a very good shot of going to the regional final in the UK, but mYinsanity, they have different plans for this one. To the right side of the map, Splendor with his Charism. We have Hazobs on Li Ming, Norog on Tassadar, Blumby on Johanna, and Darkmok on Sonya. mYinsanity, of course, they still had to deal with a bit of jet lag after they came back from Seoul, Korea, where they were playing at the global finals for spring. But now here in the last summer qualifier for the first EU regional, they have to give their best to make sure that they are one of the teams participating in the first regional final in the UK. When it comes to the talents here, already a couple of adjustments. We actually do not see block or anything like it on the side of Sonya, but with that Tassadar as one of the supports and the potential Leeching Plasma on level 4, we have Warpaint taken. That's going to give her a huge amount of survivability. Bot lane pressure happening as Sylvanas is being used to snipe one of the towers down. So already a good start into the game on the side of the Sandwich Monkeys, especially since the bot lane is going to be incredibly important around level 10 as well. Stitches started to go straight into his normal slam build, and of course an adjustment on level 1 here for Sylvanas. Overflowing Quither, Q focus on Sylvanas is currently the norm when you're looking at the new meta with the hero after, of course, Sylvanas got significantly changed. A lot of talents got moved around. She got a couple of new ones as well, and just like overall changes on her, making her a little bit more powerful. That being said, we have also on Johanna a bit of an adjustment here. Reinforce now being used here. And of course Reinforce now incredibly strong also because it's another talent that got a bit of a change here since Block has seen a huge priority right now. So in this case, we're having now 75% from the auto attack damage, for the auto attack damage builds taken away. Thanks to that. So not going into the lane push, but Blumby instead trying to just stay as tanky as he possibly can be when it comes to the fights on those shrines. So it's actually going to be pretty interesting to see if he adjusts his build more than that, or if this is the only adjustment that he really makes. Nice damage put out already by Li Ming, but just look at the Sandwich Monkeys there, taking position on the shrine now. Lumpy had to jump out since he dropped on his Greymane, very fast in HP. We're seeing on level 1 also the Lightning Bond taken. Again, one of the preferred talent on Phelox when he goes into his Rhaegar. He really loves to play that style. With now also the chain heal mana reduction, the costs are reduced significantly. And the kill in this case already happening. Ooh, the overlay actually like bugging out in this case. We don't have a kill yet, but there it is. Greymane is down. Greymane is already eliminated, so first kill happening, and that in favor of mYinsanity. So they get the access to the shrine. I, by the way, like completely brain farted for a moment there. For some reason, I thought that this that the level update here was a countdown for one of the heroes dying. I have no idea what happened there, but yeah, sorry for that, guys. So after that little brain fart, we're going to focus onto the top temple that is now being taken, and already mYinsanity with a bit of a lead in structures. But keep in mind that especially with Sylvanas being able to exploit any kind of team fight victory, they will be able to push in and pressure mYinsanity very significantly. We're having focused attack taken on the side of Sonya on level 4. We're also having now Laws of Hope for Johanna, so super sustained for Blumby here. Not really that wave push that you oftentimes are looking for when you're picking Johanna, which you get out of Night Take Spawn level 1, but that Reinforce is going to help significantly against heroes like Greymane, for example, if you want to stay safe. When it comes to the talents, we're having for Muradin a full focus on the Thunderclap again, with especially on level 1, Reverberation and then the Thunder Burn. And everybody's focusing up at the top once more. Look at that damage from Azorps. Well done here. ETF very, very low, moves away, in comes his talent, and of course that just raises those hit points up to to an acceptable amount again. But overall, still a slight lead in experience on the side of mYinsanity, and they're also looking at a very solid position when it comes to their structural advantage with taking down several walls already as is. The level 4 abilities now also with a Withering Barrage, so we have Overflowing Quiver as the starting talent, and then level 4, the Withering Barrage as well. So that's actually like pretty cool. If you want to get burst damage out against a single target, this is one of the talents that you're really looking for. We've seen a couple of adjustments already when it came to those builds, especially in the earlier games. We had a few adjustments on level 4 for Sylvanas, but one of the things that all of the builds more or less had in common today is that we have a focus on her Q. So level 7 brings us with Cleanse on only one side. Rhaegar went into it, whereas we still see the Echo of Heaven taken for Karazem, who used Protective Shield as his level 4 talent. Tassadar not really going into Leeching Plasma, so Sonya, unfortunately for her, is not going to be able to get that massive amount of life leech, but instead is in this case now it's just simply focusing once more on the ferocious healing on level 7. We have the mental acuity for Tassadar over the Leeching Plasma, but it's still Kala's Embrace, of course, which is one of the most important talents on Tassadar if you want to play a support style, which I actually think in this case, like, it's the most important one. Calamity on level 7. Not only does it give you a nice amount of wave clear if you go in with Calamity, but at the same time, of course, you're also able to just get a bit more damage out during those fights if really need be. Especially if a hero like Greymane is going to try and get a little bit touchy-touchy with you. So that's a chance that you have to attempt to burst him down a little bit faster. Already, we're having at the same time the Piercing Bolt taken, Toxic Gas, the Barbed Shot, more or less a standard on level 7 now. Most players don't go into the Unstable Poison anymore. Instead, that Barbed Shot is really bringing in extra value here. Does not contest with any other talents any longer. Back in the old days with 16.5, now of course in the newest patch 17.0, but back in the days, Barbed Shot always on level 1 was heavily contested. It was like one of the talents on Sylvanas where you had several options of what you could go for. You could of course go into the cooldown reduction on your Shadow Dagger, which was incredibly important. You could just simply go into the range increase on your Q or into Barbed Shot. So we have seen the talent, but right now it's more or less, I don't really want to call it a must-have. There's still different builds that you can go for, but most players decided to go on level 7 into Barbed Shot now as a rule of thumb, as like a general thing. The altar or the shrine, the temple down to the bot lane is active, and both of the teams are actually heading into level 10. It hits a little bit faster for mYinsanity. Don't really think that they can translate it into any kind of significant lead here, because now we have it for both of those teams ready. Avatar, Ancestral Healing have been used, and unfortunately for us, nobody is toying around with their mind control yet on Sylvanas. It's again the Wailing Arrow that is being used here. But the jump in, Karazim has not taken his talent yet. There's the 7-sided strike that he wants, and he can use that against Stitches, against also Muradin, and they are jumping in immediately with this one. Everybody low on the other hand for mYinsanity. Splendor saves himself with a very nice quick heal in the last moment, but everyone had to go back to the well and get a few more hit points up. Heroic abilities are mostly on cooldown, with the exception of the Disintegrate and also the Force Wall. Go for the Throat is also available. Everything else has already been used in that fight. It gives a bit of an edge to mYinsanity right now. Disintegrate and Force Wall, of course, on incredibly low cooldowns. They will be able to use that again. And the attempt to go for Lumpy, they get that kill. He didn't even get a chance to Go for the Throat here. The resets allow them to take Phelox down as well with Li Ming. Great play so far on the side of mYinsanity, and they have not only roughly a level lead over their opponent at this point, but also access to the bot temple, which will allow them to pressure the structures of Team Sandwich Monkeys even more. Tassadar in this case even rotating into the mid lane, saying, hey guys, I'm going to get us a bit more experience there. And he's starting to make his way up to the top lane to soak another wave. Down here, ADRD is attempting to have a bit of an impact, and ETF on top is starting to move in together with Crosby. That could actually result in the kill if they make their play here, but with a nice Iron Skin, we're seeing that hook dodge. Good job on Bloomby's part. Of course, that Stormbolt is still hitting, but here comes again that 7-sided strike, and Splendor is using his dash to escape afterwards. So very solid and controlled play on the side of mYinsanity, with Tassadar still pushing the top lane and soaking experience. And with currently mYinsanity just able to defend against this without losing a hero, they're in a great spot. There was actually a lot that was committed here already by the Sandwich Monkeys. Dartmook is still not dying. 20 hit points on him. Gets healed. They kill against Greymane. This is like a worst case scenario at this point right now for the team in blue. They're really struggling, especially as Nurik is moving in from the top. Great force wall, but Crosby already used the wave and is jumping away now. But overall, the situation for mYinsanity is fantastic here. They're playing a great game. We've seen huge commitments at the bot lane from Team Sandwich Monkeys, but they didn't really get a kill or anything like that. So at the same time, we have TSaM at the top lane pushing, putting pressure onto the fort, rotating down to the bottom just in time to help with an additional kill. They got the kill against Greymane, and it's overall 4 kills against 0. So actually very well played here. mYinsanity is now capitalizing on that by using level 13 a bit faster. Relentless taken on Charism. We're seeing Illusionist also claim the Spell Shield for Sonya. So Sonya actually is saying in this case, hey, that's Sylvanas, and also, of course, Greymane. I want to make sure that I'm not really too vulnerable against those. And to be a little bit careful here. No Mystical Spear for her, but instead just a bit of a different setup. Burning Rage for more damage. Prescience now taken 2. And all of the forts, by the way, still available for mYinsanity. So from a structural point of view, they have the edge here. And also, they have that level 13 talent, which is going to be incredibly important, especially since we're now moving into the next temple phase, where they will get the bot temple more or less for free. We're also seeing at the top now, at least Greymane starting to make his way over. Lumpy is going to attempt to get at least a few shots for his team, but this is of course a great situation right now for mYinsanity. And they actually deny the opponent quite a bit of vision. So currently there's very little that they can do. That's also why Greymane hesitated so much to go to the top. Oh my god! ETF gets lasered away. No chance to even jump out of this one. And with such a great kill, we are seeing them head straight into a boss attempt. They have their level 13 talent. They have a great position here. With one hero up at the top, them having perfect vision on Rhaegar as well. They know that there are only 2 heroes at the most down to the bottom of the map. So they get an easy boss here. Well played by mYinsanity. And a very nice understanding, of course, also from on the map right now. They realized that with a kill on Muradin, they had an open boss. They could go for it. They had perfect vision at the top lane on 2 of the heroes. And with that, there was just absolutely no threat to them. So it was an easy pick for them. They get this now, pushing the bot lane. They go back, take the last few shots on the temple, and that allows them now to just put more pressure onto the structures up at the top. Nurok, by the way, getting experience over here. Level 13 talents brought us after the Lightning Bond on level 1, also straight into the Earth Shield for Rhaegar. Phalux playing that here, with now the Thunder Strike taken on the prowl. Mega Smash, and also a talent for Sylvanas, which I've actually seen a lot in scrims already. Hasn't been played in the earlier game, but right now, once again, Windrunner. So this is actually going to be pretty awesome, because you get a lot of Withering Fire out of this one, and it's super cool. It gives you a lot of mobility on the hero, and it just doesn't really contest with any of the talents anymore that are a must-have, and that's pretty sweet. So with that focus that we're seeing on the queue these days anyways, having the added mobility and then also the recharge of your Withering Fire is pretty awesome for them. Down to the bot lane, 16 versus 15. A nice attempt actually to just use Sylvanas and burst another structure down. The big problem that they have is that there's a huge wraparound. Stitches is trying to be safe for his team, but everybody's moving in as we speak. Nurok is there too. They don't have the 16 talents. Mass resets incoming. Crosby gets healed, jumps in, might be able to get the kill against Splendor though. Hazo is down. Li Ming is dead. That's a huge problem. They really depend on her for the damage. Greymane as a counter kill, but Splendor is solo. He has to stay in the back, and that's what he's currently doing. But we still have, of course, Sonya, and she is trying to drive them away right now. Nurok is already there. Another good contest on the side of Blumby. Dartmook rotates in with a whirlwind. Can he maybe hit another spear and lock someone down? It doesn't really look like it. In this case, they're just retreating. They got their kill, but it was still a trade. It was still a 1-for-1. And in this case, that kind of works out for the Sandwich Monkeys, since they have a bit of an underdog bonus when it comes to experience. Force Wall already used. ADRD could attempt to go into a hook. Doesn't do that just yet, though. So let's see how they are going to play it at this point. I mean, right now, Hook doesn't really hit anything. Still the 16 talent missing, by the way, so ADRD can't really make too many plays with that anyways. When it comes to damage, Sylvanas, very solid numbers. 43,000, top damage dealer in the game. Even more than Li Ming. So Li Ming is currently at 32,000, which is nothing compared to what Sylvanas was able to bring to the table. She's already at 100k siege damage, by the way. That barbed shot really doing solid work. And they want to have a kill. 16 versus 16 talents right now. They see a chance. Greymane is at the top. A big bang reset. There we go. Kill against Stitches, and they are lasering Crosby to death as well. There's the resets right there. The force is strong with this one. Somewhere in a decent galaxy, Yoda is feeling a disturbance in the force. They even ignore the temple at the bot lane right now. And instead, they're just going straight for the wall here. They see an opportunity, and we're having vision taken by ETF at the top. He was actually trying to get some experience there, I suppose, but instead he has now to move back, and that's more structures taken. And guys, again, every single structure that you take down is eventually going to translate into more direct damage against those inner circle structures, which is exactly what's happening right now. Lumpy jumps in, goes for the kill. Li Ming is dead. They get the keep, but can they escape? That's the big question. Phalux is already on the hunt here with this Rhaegar, but a great force wall from Nurok keeps them alive, at least for now. We have Karazim not joining up with the rest of the team yet. 16 versus 16 talents. Muradin with a stone form. Full slam build for Stitches. Pulverize after Mega Smash taken. We're seeing now Executioner already on Greymane, and that's actually a really cool adjustment that we've just seen. Executioner is going to give Lumpy so much more damage, and with that slow on AD already, with the 16 and the Mega Smash, which is more or less guaranteeing that you're hitting a lot of heroes, they have a lot of slow already. Muradin with his stuns, Rhaegar also, of course, with his level 13 or 16 talent, the Earthgrass Totem. They can really capitalize on this, and that will help Lumpy to get incredible damage on the board, so they have to be super careful, especially Li Ming. And Lumpy has already shown that he wants Li Ming. I mean, he went in every single time when he got a chance and was trying to take her down. We're seeing at this point, also after the Echo of Heaven on level 7, the Circle of Life now taken. Mirror Ball for Li Ming. We're seeing opposing presence, plus the Nerves of Steel now as well. So, with that keep taken, that was a pretty big deal. And I mean, we have all of the forts at least eliminated by the Sandwich Monkeys, but overall, it's still that lead for mYinsanity, which is of course going to become a bit of a problem for them. It's currently level 18 versus 19. They're heading into 20 slowly and steadily. They're not going to try and fight anytime soon. They're going to try and hit that Storm talent first on 20. But that's going to be, of course, like the big objective here. At the same time, temples are going to be really important. You could potentially take down another keep here. When it comes to kills, it's 8 kills against 3. But at least in the last few fights, we've seen the Sandwich Monkeys actually do some solid work here. And especially when you look at the damage output, Greymane has started to really make his way into the damage numbers. But Muradin is getting jumped again at the bot lane. And ETF is really in a bit of a tricky spot here. We have 4 deaths on Greymane right now, 2 on Muradin. And those 2 were actually the ones where they always translated the kill into a boss taken. And this is really scary right now. What mYinsanity understood earlier is in order to open up a window where they can kill the opponent with another good team fight, they had to go for the keep, and they got that. That's a big fight. If this is lost by the Sandwich Monkeys, this is more or less over. Great heal, by the way. Ancestral coming through, but it's too late. It's a 5 versus 4 on the level 20 with all the resets that we just saw for Hazorps. That was a bit too much. Crosby is getting lasered into oblivion. Temporal Flux has not been chosen yet, by the way. That was a bit of a setup, but this is a team wipe, and this is, of course, going to be game. I mean, we're seeing everyone starting to move down to the bot lane. Catapults and Siege Giants already pushing this one in. We're having at the same time now also the boss making its way over. And this is going to be the 1-0 in the series against Team Sandwich Monkeys. Great shot play here, actually, on the side of mYinsanity. A very nice victory here. And especially the later stages, it was of course a desperation move from the Sandwich Monkeys trying to go for the boss. They knew that if that's claimed, it's over anyways. So they tried, they failed, and now they have to go into game number 2 to try and turn this series around. Alright everybody, game number 2, Infernal Shrines is the map, and well, we have mYinsanity going up against the Sandwich Monkeys again. The Sandwich Monkeys are currently down 1 game in the series. We are still in the winner bracket in the semi-final, meaning that whoever wins the series advances to play the regional final in the UK. And the Sandwich Monkeys, they are once again focusing on Sylvanas here. Like, the way that this is actually working out, once again we have a ban on Zul. And interestingly enough, it's actually the Sandwich Monkeys who ban him out. So that already indicates that they are also valuing Illidan higher than they value Zul. So, Illidan banned by mYinsanity because they want to make sure that the Sandwich Monkeys are not going to focus on him. And the Sandwich Monkeys more or less replace it then with the Sonya. So they're trying to still have that heavy bruiser at the front line. They could go into that Tacita, but mYinsanity said, like, yep, that's not going to happen. We are going to take Greymane, we're going to pick Tassadar because we know what you want to play here. You want to go into the double support Sonya style, and we're going to deny that to you. The Sandwich Monkeys, they reacted with their Sylvanas again. And once more, she, of course, brings a lot of pushing power on the map, especially if you claim one of the Punishers. With Rhaegar, with great heal and the Lightning Shield as well. Phelox, of course, it's one of his preferred healers too. One of the heroes that he loves to play, and he's very solid on this one, which we've seen in a few of the games already played in the recent past. But mYinsanity, they are now in one of these situations where they have the next two picks, and they want to make sure that when it comes to like the bans, they already take something away from the Sandwich Monkeys that they can really capitalize on. And ETC would be a good choice here. Not only is that Mosh Pit in itself incredibly powerful, but also if you have Sonya plus ETC, that's actually like two heroes that really start to jump your backline. ETC with the power slide through, using the face melt, opening up that path for Sonya where she can just like go in and wreak havoc in there. And ETC can always zone a bit. So in this case, this is working out quite well for them. The Sandwich Monkeys more or less already showing that they looked at the drafts that mYinsanity had in the last game, thinking about that Uther ban, but focusing on Charism first. And that's actually interesting, considering that the Sandwich Monkeys are a team that play or played in the past a lot of Cho'Gall. I'm currently saying that because the Charism ban is more or less leading to a potential Cho'Gall play here, with Diablo and Uther now being locked down for mYinsanity. Very reminiscent of what they played in the previous games. Personally, either they're going to play a Cho'Gall or they play very hit point heavy frontliners. I'm a little bit afraid of that 7-sided strike, because normally you would have gone into a ban on Uther. It was like more or less a given that if you ban Uther, they go into Charism. If you ban Charism, they go into Uther. And it is that hit point heavy tank. I would have been a little bit surprised with that Cho'Gall, to be absolutely honest with you, but hit point heavy tanks at the front line, maybe even a second one that makes sense, since this is actually something that mYinsanity did in the last game already, right? They did not go into like an Uther or anything. They instead picked Charism because they said, yeah, the one thing that we value a bit more than having that Divine Shield is actually the opportunity to dish out damage during the team fights. And we've seen Muradin blown up twice, which was exactly the reasons or like the opportunities that mYinsanity needed to take boss twice in the game. So with that in mind, the Sandwich Monkeys deny the Charism and allow mYinsanity to go into Uther right now. And at this point, could look into Kerrigan again. Kerrigan was played by mYinsanity earlier, and I'm not 100% certain if the Sandwich Monkeys really got a lock on that particular pick, because if they did, then they have to still find a bit of a counter to that. We could see them again with a Muradin if they want to play Stitches Muradin at the front line, but that wouldn't leave them very melee heavy, since they also have a Sonya already, and they have a Rhaegar. So it's a little bit more likely that they are going away from that double tank setup and use Sonya as that bruiser that she is, with the Stitches as the main tank, and a second range damage dealer. And that's what they do. Zagara, for not only a little bit of control, but also damage. And there is that Kerrigan. Kerrigan once again being picked. mYinsanity with more or less the same draft that they already used in the previous games. So pretty cool. Worked out the first time for them. A lot of stun already, a lot of lockdown, a lot of also AoE that they have now with Diablo on the Shrine, with a poke through Greymane, with the AoE on Tassadar, and that really helps them to secure themselves the objective. And with Kerrigan, there's of course always this constant threat where she can jump in, lock down a Rhaegar, lock down Stitches, Zagara, try to go for that Sonya. A very dangerous draft for sure that mYinsanity has right now. So guys, we're going to jump into that and going to find out which team is going to take game number 2. Is mYinsanity going to win this with a 2-0 and qualify directly for the regional final in the UK, or will the Sandwich Monkeys claim victory on Infernal Shrines and force a third game? Infernal Shrines is map number 2, and well, mYinsanity, they are in the lead right now, and they play a draft that viewers are, like a lot of you guys should actually be very familiar with the draft that they're currently using here. To the left side we have mYinsanity with Nurok on Tassadar, we have Splendor on Uther, so again that double support with Uther Tassadar, for Greymane, played by Hazorps, Darkmog on Kerrigan, and Blumby on Diablo, and yeah, you're totally right, this is exactly the same setup that they already used against Euronics in the same qualifier. For the Sandwich Monkeys, on the other hand, we have ADRD playing Zagara, Phelox again on Rhaegar, his preferred healer. We're seeing Crosby on Sylvanas, ETF on top on Stitches over Muradin, and Lumpy on Sonya. So the setup that they're running is actually pretty powerful as well, especially if you get access to one of those Punishers. You can push very heavily with Zagara, with also Sylvanas, and that also allows a bit of a play where you're not even going into team fights, but you just try and snipe structures down. So later on, if for example the Sandwich Monkeys fall behind, they can still try to go to a lane with Sylvanas, with also Zagara, and just like push these lanes down quite heavily. And a lot of people actually like mistake this for a setup where no ranged assassin is being played. Oh my god, they're not really playing a damage dealer. And far from it. Whoa, nice hook actually against Hazu. But yeah, it's far from having not a damage dealer. Sylvanas can do incredible damage right now. We've seen that in the last game already, where she was one of the highest damage dealers against heroes in the entire game. And of course, we all know how much damage actually Zagara, especially after that level 4, can dish out on lane in the later stages as well. So you don't really need an assassin or anything. And a lot of the specialists are special because they have a lot of pushing power against minions, against like objectives, but the amount of damage that they can dish out against heroes is pretty significant as well. And we're seeing again the overflowing quiver being used here for Sylvanas. We have also Hungry for More. The build a little bit different for Stitches now, since he's the only main tank. We have still Sonya, of course. She's labeled as a tank, as a warrior, but in reality she's more that bruiser type style. Very similar actually to a Thrall. So in this case, we're having a bit of an adjustment already made, and Stitches is not going into the massive slam build where he tries to get more AoE damage out for those shrines as well, but instead just attempts to stay alive a little bit longer, which of course also explains that ban on Karazim, which was already used in the previous game by mYinsanity to put additional pressure on the front line. In this case now they rely on Uther, which is also a very fair trade. Zagara putting a lot of tree tumors down here already, and that's actually like really strong, making sure that she has top control over that lane, and Tassadar is going to try and deny that as much as he can, but just simply moving in every now and then with his potential mental acuity on level 4 even, and take those creep tumors down. So Nurok, that's kind of his job description at this point, and it's something that he's going to look at for quite some time. Again, when we're having a Diablo in the setup, especially with Diablo Kerrigan, one of the things you want to do is take position on the shrine so that you can control these small choke points, right? Over here with Diablo, dash in and make sure that you just like push one target into the rest of your team, but then especially with the lockdown on Kerrigan, they can just completely obliterate it. The stun on Uther, of course, also going to be very powerful in this context. Again, Envenomed Spines being used for Zagara, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Look at Sonya, that's exactly what they just did. They waited for a chance. Blumby did not even have to use his gap closer. He just slammed over, pushed in, and then they blew her away. Still the counter kill against Diablo, and very nice play on the side of the Sandwich Monkeys. But already the strategy that we are seeing on the side of mYinsanity, very transparent in this particular setup. We're seeing again Siphoning Impact plus Clean Kill being used, the Ravage build for Kerrigan, most likely with the Eviscerate later on level 13, and another Punisher thanks to all the AoE that they are currently bringing to the table with the setup. So very powerful draft for them for sure. They're attempting to go again for the lockdown, and they get it against Stitches. Very unlikely that they are going to be able to take him down, but that's of course a bit of a scare for sure. And we're seeing Stitches also with the Amplified Healing now taken on level 4. We're having the Withering Barrage taken again for Crosby for the damage output. And after Warpaint on 1, Sonya went into the focus attack on level 4. Block, by the way, a talent that, of course, in the last patch, in 17.0, got heavily changed. Well, not heavily changed. It got changed in the sense that it's now reducing even more of the auto attack damage, and that's, of course, very, very powerful. It was already used before that, but now we are having a bit more of a focus on it too. And attempt to kill Stitches, but yeah, well, that little fatty has a lot of hit points. You are not going to be able to take him down anytime soon. Blumby, on the other hand, is about to fall. Gets a shield. Whoa, barely not escaping, and the counter kill against Sonya. That was actually a nice one. Counter kill against Sonya, and everybody is incredibly low there. Yeah, but Starkmook is jumping around from one target to another, of course hoping for a chance to maybe lock someone down and get another kill in. That didn't really happen. But yeah, we have a level 7 now, the Barbed Shot taken. So again, Withering Barrage, Barbed Shot, and Overflowing Quiver on 1, 4, and 7 claimed for Sylvanas. With the level 7 talents in play, we're seeing again a cleanse, this time by the way on both sides. So Rhaegar plus Uther decided to use cleanse here. And the Battle Momentum talent claimed for Zagara to get a few more abilities out during all of this. So that's something that they're going to use now as well. In the middle of the map, we're having Darkmook still looking at ETF on top, trying to see if he maybe gets a chance to like lock him down. It's mostly about the experience so than anything else. But of course, if he has an opportunity, he's going to jump in and make that kill a reality. Against Stitches, very unlikely that it's going to happen. I like that Splendor is actually like now trying to time the camp. Shrine is activating, and that's the time when he moves in. So it's really cool for them. But we already have another camp taken to the top, where ADRD is currently trying to accompany that Shaman camp to put a bit more pressure on all of this here. So, yeah, the rest of the teams is starting to move down to the bottom, but we still have Tassadar at the top now too. So Tassadar and Zagara are both missing for this particular fight now. And as you can see here, this is going to be the fight for Punisher number 2. Within the backline, Crosby already trying to get some damage in. Lumpy always up at the front. Hazops is waiting for a chance to jump in. Stays very far in the back, just using the cocktail to poke a little bit and get more minions. 14 against 17 at this point. And Tacita had to move back. Both of the camps have been defeated up at the top, which means that Zagara and Tacita are now starting to make their way over towards the fight. And that double support that we're going to see there is going to make the life of especially the front line much better for mYinsanity. Already the lockdown against ETF on top. The hit point heavy hero is still escaping though. Hazops wants the kill, doesn't get it on the other hand. And Darkmorg is just jumping from one minion to another. 33 for them right now. They're still trying to climb the last few. This is a really close battle at this point. Darkmorg far out at the front. They're trying to go for the kill. Only 2 more, and it is the Frozen Punisher in the hands of the Sandwich Monkeys. They kill against Sylvanas. Blumby is going to fall as well. He is down for the full duration, did not have the count that he needed, and it's a double kill as Uther is eliminated too. The Punisher, on the other hand, because of that kill, not able to jump in, therefore it's also going to be able to do a little bit more damage than usual. I mean, what you're always trying to do is to just like bait the Punisher in, and then you have like 2 more structures that shoot at him directly. This is like a very annoying situation for mYinsanity, because they find themselves in a spot where not only did they lose 2 heroes, but also the Punisher is getting more damage for the opponent, since it's just going straight through the wall and not jumping in to be bursted down immediately. That translates on top of everything else into the earlier level 10, which now puts us in a position where these 3 heroes could try and maybe jump one over here. We have that more as a setup for AD already. We have a couple of opportunities for them to really make a play. But Stitches in the meantime has already moved into the middle of the map, soaked an entire wave, so he's going to make his way over up to the top where we still have a minion wave that he can claim, whereas the rest in the middle is just going to clash into the 2 towers. Since there's nobody else on the side of mYinsanity that can move into the middle to soak the experience, it means that all of this is just going to be dead experience for mYinsanity, so they're going to lose out on it, and that is extremely annoying for the team right now. It was a very close fight over the particular Punisher over here, and in the end it was the Sandwich Monkeys who won. 4 kills against 3 now overall. And when you look at the damage output, you can already tell that with Sylvanas, yeah, she might be labeled as a specialist, but that baby is bringing the pain. I mean, that's a pain train right there. 20,000 damage. Compare that for a moment to what we're seeing on the side of mYinsanity. 13,000 for them and 10,000 for Diablo. So that is definitely a huge difference. It's nearly double what they were able to bring to the table. And this is really now one of those scenarios where things are starting to become a little bit grim for mYinsanity. The reason is actually very simple. Once again, Sylvanas is dead and cannot push with the Punisher. So if she was still alive, if Diablo's trade for Sylvanas was actually a really smart one, not in the sense that it was a kill for a kill, but in the sense that Diablo killing Sylvanas made sure that Sylvanas cannot simply disable these structures and allow the Punisher to go deeper even more. So it was really important for them. If not for that, this fort would have potentially already fallen, and therefore great move on the side of Blumby, sacrificing himself to take out Sylvanas. He gets the kill, he himself is dying too, but at least they were able to make sure that Crosby can't just like simply push. But that push alone with Zagara already was definitely a pretty big deal. So right now it seems like we have a couple of problems for Lumpy, but as we have level 10s kicking in for mYinsanity, let's go over those for a moment. We're seeing again the Force Wall being used, as already predicted earlier, in case that you haven't picked up on it yet. Mental Acuity on level 4, so an adjustment to counter the creep tumors on Zagara, and since they are currently having also double support, didn't really have to do anything else there. We're having Divine Shield at this point used for Uther. That's going to be really important now, and the game more or less is resetting a little bit. Every single time we're looking at the Heroes of the Storm game, the important part is really the early game until level 10, and from that point on, you can really just like take a new look at the game and see, okay, the heroic abilities are there right now. How exactly are we going to make sure that we are going to capitalize on that properly? And that Divine Shield here is going to be absolute key. Divine Shield is going to do 2 things here. It's going to make sure that Kerrigan can go deep, or Greymane, one of the 2. Depending on who sees a kill, Uther has to be there and make sure that he's basically the enabler right now. So he needs to make sure that someone can jump in and go for the kills here. So you have 2 very aggressive heroes at this point, and Hazops on his Greymane throughout the entire time has so far kept himself pretty far in the back, as you might have seen in the fight over the shrine over here. So he's always staying a little bit back, and once he sees a kill, he can just dart in. Usually Carry again is the one that initiates first and tries to get the stun in, and then it depends a little bit on how exactly the opponent is trying to focus. The one thing that's really important in the context is, though, that we have on Crosby, still that Wailing Arrow. So that silence is something that Uther has to try and dodge if he can. Because if everybody is hit by a silence and then suddenly you have Sonya going in for the kill and you have everybody else focusing on a single target, it's going to be very difficult for Tacita to mitigate that burst damage. So Uther in this context is going to be key. But if they can start to initiate with Diablo, with also like Kerrigan, and then have the Divine Shield ready on a hero, this is going to be incredibly powerful. And that's exactly what mYinsanity is currently looking out for. That being said, we have on the side of Diablo now also, again, the Lightning Breath take. And a lot of people are actually looking at this and are saying, like, nah, why doesn't he go for maybe, like, even Apocalypse? The reason is actually oftentimes that on this map in particular, you're trying to get position on the shrine itself. And then with Lightning Breath, you can really control these choke points quite easily. Imagine Diablo, for example, just standing here at the front, zoning for the opponent. Everybody else is trying to barrel through here, and he uses the Lightning Breath. He can completely control this entire choke point, forcing the opponent back and buying, of course, very important seconds. You can also zone a little bit with that Apocalypse, and if you get a good stun off, that would be great, but at the same time there's also that Maw. So if Maw is being used and while Apocalypse goes down, a few of the heroes are caught in the Maw, then you can't really capitalize on it that much. So that's one of the setups that they're going to try and use during the engagements in the future here. With that being said, we have now that the game more or less, I don't really want to say like completely reset at level 10. I mean, like, of course you are getting the idea here, I guess, with the talents, but look at the experience lead here still. That experience lead could translate into the earlier level 13, which once again could of course mean that we are going to see maybe an extra talent. And Sylvanas is actually already looking up at the top. It's kind of unlikely that you're going to kill Blumby. So one of the things that they can actually like do is just like try to pressure the mid lane a little bit, which is where also like Lumpy is now headed. It looks like Lumpy and also Crosby are starting to move to the top and maybe get a kill against him. The problem that they have in the middle is that Hazops is just so strong and can always initiate that keeping a Sylvanas there is a bit of a problem, and it's a risk. It's a risk that you don't want to run, especially if you're ahead at this point. So, not quite, actually not 100% certain what they mean with Blumby, but apparently we had a similar problem already on the side of mYinsanity. So, yeah. At the bottom of the map right now, one of the things that's going to happen is Darkmorg is probably going to make his way over pretty soon. They're going to try and get like this wave and then just move in the middle, especially when they see the rotation coming against Blumby. They're going to try and move him back, just like soak the experience over here and then move on as 5 and try to engage into a team fight. The team fight potential that we are seeing now for mYinsanity is huge with those heroics that I just pointed out. It's really, really strong. On the other hand, when we're talking about the team around ADRD, this is going to be very important that he gets that setup with a Maw. That's like the ideal scenario, right? You get the setup with the Maw, you use the Wailing Arrow ideally afterwards, and then you can also use the Putrid Bile, make sure that your opponent has to face that point or like that point on damage, and then you jump in right there and force that battle. But it's always a question of who engages. Like, does Stitches get that hook? Is he going to be able to get that hook in, or is it going to be Kerrigan and Diablo who are going to try and lock a talent, like a hero down here? Yeah, I actually think that Lumpy is going to have he seems like he is having a bit of a problem. The team that qualifies here, the team that makes this best of 3 series, is actually qualified for the regional final, for one of the regional final. We have 2 in Europe, 2 in North America, in the UK, and that kind of means that this is a super important game. So if Lumpy is actually having some serious problems here, that would be very, very unfortunate. I mean, apparently he disconnected earlier to go for a quick restart, and that could help him. But if it doesn't, then they might have to play this, I guess, with like a standard or not. I'm not 100% certain what the rule set says in that case. But as the game is already 7 minutes in, there's absolutely no chance that he can force a restart here. So I hope that he's going to be able to get everything set up again. But I guess we're going to find out. And now that Lumpy is back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to like jump straight in. So as already predicted, up at the top lane, we're having Blumby in a bit of pressure, but like he is not going to fall here. Lumpy apparently is able to solve his problems. Crosby is there, and it's like a 5-man situation right now. With Kerrigan currently at the bot lane going up against Sonya. But this is of course the pushing power with Zagara and Sylvanas that we've talked about at the beginning of the game. If you have the 2 on the lane and there's nobody to really deal with it immediately, then they can just always pressure another structure down. At the bottom of the map, on the other hand, Darkmok is currently feeling the wrath of Lumpy, who is now back to business, apparently without that lag that he was struggling with a bit earlier. So Darkmok has to be careful. He gets bonus points for the pick though. Money pick, best mount, as it is known, of course. The top lane, on the other hand, that is a different matter. That's Zagara plus Sylvanas. Really powerful. Blumby shows himself a little bit, kind of sneaky, and basically just says, get out of there or I'm going to flank you, and they're not really trying to risk that. But yeah, in this case right now, we still have that fight down to the bottom. Lumpy with very good zoning. I like it actually a lot what he's currently doing here. But we have now the mid lane being pressured as well. And after they took the towers at the top, they're now trying to get the extra experience over here in the middle to get closer to level 13 so that they can capitalize on it for the next shrine, which is going to be activated in 10 more seconds. So that's going to be... that's going to be an important one. Nice trap attempt already by Lumpy. Crosby also in the bushes. They're waiting for Kerrigan now. They're waiting for Kerrigan. Kerrigan moves in. There's the spear. Crosby starting to move in as well. But Darkmok is still on the move and is escaping. But that was a close call. I mean, Crosby was already waiting for an opportunity to jump in. There was nobody to really help him out on the other hand. So that's a bit of a problem there too. Then again, we have that shrine already position taken off here. And that actually was great. Zoning out Kerrigan like this, that really helped them to take position on the shrine first and get a huge lead. They have 20 minions already. So now we are going to see the first fight on level 10. And that's the opportunity for Kerrigan to really have an impact. But that level 13 talent forces mYinsanity back. This is something that you really see often, like only good teams, only teams that really have a lot of faith in their ability to take team fights later on are going to make a move like this. With Rhaegar at the top lane and him having Lightning Bond, mYinsanity just said right away, boys, we are already down 20 minions. If we go in now, they are going to hit level 13 in the middle of the fight and we might get completely obliterated. If we die here and they push with a Punisher plus Sylvanas and Zagara, we are going to lose way too much and we are going to be far, far behind. So instead they said, it's going to be a difficult defense, but let's make sure that we have the opportunity to defend as 5. They baited the Punisher, and now they're going to try and burst it down. The hook on the other hand, wow, that was a great one. And it forced out the Divine Shield. Wailing Arrow was used as well though. So yep, that was used too. And it's going to mean at least a 4. But it's 13 versus 13, so at least they accomplished their goal to play on even talents. But with that Sylvanas and that Zagara, a Punisher push is of course going to be absolutely, like it is going to be so scary. Windrunner taken again on 13, plus the Earth Shield. But now there's the potential to disengage. Darkmok is moving in, wants to go for the stun, doesn't hit the combo perfectly on the other hand. The grasp was there, but not more than that. The heal very early against ETF on top, not perfect, but Diablo is dead. He's going to come back in a second. If they can get Lumpy, it was totally worth it, but they don't. And Kerrigan is down. Hazu engages, takes down Sonya, but he himself is low. Splendor as well. The double support is still ready, and it's a 4 versus 4 with only Kerrigan missing right now since Diablo had enough souls to revive at least once. Eviscerate on Kerrigan, allowing her to just like jump in from a bigger distance right now. Range increased by 40%, but we have a very solid lead in experience on the side of the red team. So they're actually like playing a great game at this point right now. They're playing once again a match in which they really capitalize on the pushing power that they have, on all that siege damage. And I mean, let's talk about damage for a moment, not only siege. 84,000 already in siege damage on the side of Sylvanas. But look at her damage output when it comes to hero damage. 35k. That is incredible. I mean, Greymane, for example, has only 21,000. So he's far, far behind what currently Sylvanas brings to the table here. ETF on top hitting the wall here, was trying to aim for Blumbio, of course. But there's a lot of pressure now on mYinsanity. And the problem that they are facing is that level 16 talent that is looming on the horizon. It's basically a Damocles sword that they have to face in just a moment. And that level 16 talent is going to be a very, very powerful one. Especially, of course, when we're talking about a hero like Sonya, the survivability that she gets out of this one is going to be great. Relentless has been taken. There's the 16 with the Earthgrass Totem. Stone Skin. Spell Shield and Stone Skin on the side of Zagara. I mean, we haven't really talked about that 13 so far. Normally on Zagara, you would of course go and try for the Underkiller and the Brood expansion. But right now we are seeing just the max survivability for Zagara. And with Kerrigan and Greymane on the other side of the team setup, it kind of makes sense. This push at the bot lane is scary. Like, they can't stay here. Nurok is already moving back. Hazop's the only one who's up to the top, trying to get a lead in minion counts. But of course, with the Sylvanas and the Zagara at the bot lane against your structures, you have no chance but to move a few heroes back to deal with this. It's way too much. The hook, decent against Splendor. There comes the Wailing Arrow. That was a good one as well, but they couldn't capitalize on it just yet. The mid lane, by the way, pressured as well with a double camp, but Hazops is getting those minions. He has 10 already. Nurok is getting shielded. Oh, that was a close call, actually. That was him nearly falling, but just look at that damage output against that keep. The keep about to fall. There's no level 16 talent yet. I love how the Sandwich Monkeys are playing so aggressive because they're saying, hey, we have that 16 talent, let's use it. And the top lane, Nurok or Hazops actually is still getting those numbers. But look at the middle of the map right now. They're not stopping. They're just saying, guys, we can do the same thing again. We still have a couple of mercenaries in the mid lane, so let's use those. Great hook against Blumby. And that Divine Shield just barely keeping him alive here. Darkmog also moving back, and Hazops is still trying to get that Punisher. He gets it finally, but they're going to lose another keep for sure. They're trying to maybe go for a kill right now. 4 versus 5 engagement right now. We're actually seeing in this case the level 16 talents. Crosby is low. The Maelstrom, he's jumping in way too deep. Hazops is there by now. They get the kill. Splendor is trying to survive against Sonya. Darkmog is, of course, also on the prowl, jumping in once again. Great Ancestral, keeping Sonya alive, and she gets the kill. The kills against Uther, against Tacita, and Darkmog is now also falling. The Sandwich Monkeys with a great play here. The Punisher is still pushing the top lane, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Or does it? Hazops is still alive, and he actually is pushing them back for now. For a moment, it looked like the Sandwich Monkeys were trying to go for a core kill. They decide against it, and at the top lane, we see the Punisher at least go through one of those forts. That's experience in their hands that they can use, but it's not enough to close the gap. 17 versus 18, nearly 19, so a massive, massive lead on the side of the Sandwich Monkeys right now. That pressure play with Zagara Sylvanas really working out for them. Incredibly strong. And even with Zagara going into a sustain build here and not really focusing full on damage, which kind of makes sense if you look at the setup, that was, of course, still pretty perfect. I mean, the damage output for Zagara is still there. Look at that. 40,000 hero damage, 54,000 against Siege. We have only 5 deaths on the team in total, and none of those are on Zagara. So we're having 9 kills against 5, camps taken on the map, and desperately mYinsanity trying to get experience. I mean, they're trying to do whatever they can. So at this point, they're just like jumping in. One of the things, by the way, that I want to highlight again is that it wouldn't have really done a whole lot for Hazops to jump back and try and defend here too. So they had a talent that they still needed, and with them securing the Punisher at the top, they were at least able to take 1 fort down, close the gap in experience a little bit. The 16 talent was absolutely mandatory for any kind of like defense that they could muster here. Of course, it was a pretty garbage trade for them in the end, but I highly doubt that Hazops being there would have made a huge difference, since that would have also like meant that the Punisher would be claimed by the opponent. Then again, if they claim the Punisher, they would have probably not been able to do to get a second keep at the top lane. I guess the fort would have fallen and the keep would have taken some damage. As is, the situation is tricky. I mean, like, yeah, there's no denying it. The position that we are seeing right now for the Sandwich Monkeys is pretty great. And of course, they want to be the first team today that advances to play at the regional final in the UK. Benediction taken now for Uther, as seen before, the concentrated blast. Essence for Essence. It's actually interesting. Like, it's more or less a blood for blood. Like, it's nearly the same. Like, it's not quite the same as Blood for Blood, but it's pretty much the version that Kerrigan uses. But Blood for Blood, of course, got a new trait talent, whereas Essence for Essence is still the same. There's the 20s right now, with the Storm Shield taken for Rhaegar. We're seeing the Hardened Shield for Stitches, Hardened Shield, or Ignore Pain, also for Sonya, and a double Bolt of the Storm on the side of Sylvanas and Zagara, our 2 specialists and damage dealers in this game. And the bot lane, again, pressure. Like, the one thing that the Sandwich Monkeys have to really do right now is they have to keep the pressure up, right? So they're just taking camps all over the place. They're currently just, like, turning the entire map red. Every single camp that has been taken over the past few minutes have been taken by the team in red. And here comes an attempt to actually go for a bit of kill. I love these roaches, by the way. Going for the roach over the wall to grant some vision. That was incredibly important here. And they are trying to go for the kill. They know that there's a big camp at the top lane. They know there's a camp at the bottom, but they're saying the only chance that we have is winning the Punisher. If we lose the Punisher, the game's over. We can take core damage, we can lose a hero or two. What we need to do right now is we need to more or less wipe them, and we need to at least get the Punisher. Against the level 20 talents, it's an incredible difficult task, and they are not able to make it work. 2 kills against them already. The Sandwich Monkeys go for kill number 3. They eliminate Darkmog, and that is going to be the end of it. Even the hook against Nurok here, he's trying to escape, and he might be able to do that. They're not really following it up because they know that it's only wasting time. The top lane is still being pressured by the Shaman camp that has been taken. Bot lane as well. Here comes Splendor. He's down, and with the Punisher now claimed, this is of course going to be game. 17, 18 minutes into the match. Everybody is just like moving through the bottom. Nurok is defending the top lane. He won't be able to get anywhere close to level 20. And in this case now, we're having an easy victory then in the end for the Sandwich Monkeys on map number 2 in this best of 3 series here at the winner bracket semi-final. And we're going to see map number 3 coming into play to make the decision which team is going to qualify first here today in our winner bracket semi-final at the regional qualifier. The last game, ladies and gentlemen, is going to happen on Towers of Doom, and, well, in this case, we're having a ban on Zagara, first of all. So Illidan banned out again, and that has been a theme that we've seen throughout the entire matches that we have casted in the new patch, and the Lost Vikings pick for mYinsanity immediately. As Shrimpy would say, they are broken on this map. He absolutely loves the Lost Vikings. In this case, he does not get the pleasure of playing them, but of course we know that Hazops and also Nurok are very, very good playing the hero. It's actually one of the strengths that mYinsanity always quotes when you talk to them, that they say, hey, we have so many flex players and so many players that are very good with certain heroes that we can always shift around a little bit. Vikings on this map capitalize usually on the Mercenary Lord talent on level 4, because that extra damage also applies to the explosion of those suicide squads that you have. The Sandwich Monkeys with Li Ming, and that's actually like one of the interesting dynamics that we have between Lost Vikings and Li Ming. In theory, the resets that you get out of Viking kills are going to be absolutely amazing for Li Ming, because she's going to be able to just like get so much damage in. But most of the Vikings players that you talk to are always going to argue that with Jump and all of the other talents that they have available, they should be able to dodge that disintegrate and make sure that Li Ming doesn't get too many crazy resets here. One of the things that I want to highlight is that Sandwich Monkeys is actually one of those crazy teams that oftentimes play on this map quite a bit of cheese. And we've seen them with push Asmodan on this map. So I want to see what exactly they're going to play now. If they're going to play more of a normal style, or if on the last pick they're going to have something crazy for us once again set up. Zul as the potential second pick for them, and I mean he of course already has quite a bit of pushing power that you have then too, where you can just like try and use that push ability. So not 100% certain if that's going to be one of those games where they go into like Zul and then also like into that Asmodan again, but nope, it's not. Muradin is being picked a little bit faster than that. Okay, so already an adjustment here. I'm still personally quite curious to see if they are, in this case, trying to go for a bit of a crazy draft towards the later stages as well. mYinsanity is not wasting any time, by the way. They are locking down ETC because they know fully well there's a very good chance that the Sandwich Monkeys are going to ban ETC out once again if they don't pick him now. Greymane is a hero that we have consistently seen played by mYinsanity. Very, very strong, very powerful. Like, he's one of the best damage dealers overall in the game. And the Sandwich Monkeys, how are they going to play this right now? I'm really curious. I'm not going to make any kind of like predictions about the Sandwich Monkeys at this point, because these guys are crazy. They've shown that several times, and especially in Towers of Doom, like the amount of cheese that those boys can bring to the table is pretty scary. That would tempt any mouse over there. Charism already banned out. So mYinsanity so far hasn't even tried to go into one of those setups with Tacita plus a second support that they showed in the previous games. But with the Vikings already in play, they have, of course, like the opportunity to use Charism and get a massive healing power out in those fights. So that's why we have that ban on Charism right now. It's also very likely that the Sandwich Monkeys are going to pick Rhaegar themselves. First of all, of course, because Phelox is playing that hero nearly exclusively, at least today. And also because he is another hero, another healer that gets a lot of value out of playing with Lost Vikings. Especially if you go into the tidal waves on level 13. mYinsanity with a ban on Falstad, which doesn't really surprise too much. It's more or less a bit surprising that we haven't seen Falstad picked before. To be honest, I kind of feel it's a little bit weird that the Sandwich Monkeys didn't pick up that hero, or that mYinsanity picked up. Falstad is a god on this map, especially later on. For mYinsanity, it probably doesn't make as much sense as for the Sandwich Monkeys, since they can try and counteract the Vikings with him a little bit, fly around the map and just like snipe Vikings. And also, of course, then later on, when there's triple events spawning on the map, going in and try to claim one of the altars. Rhaegar as expected, taken out for the Sandwich Monkeys. That was a no-brainer. I mean, that was an easy one. But how are they going to, just like get the rest of this done now? There is a chance to pick up a Zeratul, by the way. Zeratul with a Gathering Power Cleave build can be a nuisance, and against the Vikings you get a lot of kills in there. So that is a style that has been used oftentimes, and which actually resulted very often even in a ban on Zeratul if you play Vikings on this map. So that's something that they could decide to do as well. They're still in need of maybe like a bit of range damage. I'm not really liking the Zeratul too much anymore for the Vikings now that they picked Sonya up, which is of course very powerful for the team fights, but I'm still a little bit curious to see if we're going to see something like a bit fancy towards the end here. So far their comp is very strong and very standard, I want to say. mYinsanity with Uther, which makes perfect sense as well. And yeah, we have Thrall also now being picked. So pretty normal draft, with the exception, of course, of the Vikings here. The Sandwich Monkeys with not a comp that is really too cheesy yet. Again, the last time that we've seen them on this map, they actually went into an Asmodan build, which was pretty crazy and nearly worked, actually. So they got a lot of value out of this one. But yeah, let's see how exactly the Sandwich Monkeys are going to run this now. Sonya is going to be incredibly powerful together with Muradin engaging the backline. Rhaegar most likely going to go for the cleanse again, so that he can also like mitigate the stun from ETC's Mosh Pit, his Power Slide, and also of course Thrall's Sundering. Li Ming might go into the Wave of Force again against ETC there too, and they go for the Tacita to make sure that they have that double support Sonya, which mYinsanity so far has most of the time played. So the Sandwich Monk is actually with the standard draft, a very strong one at that, by the way, but not heading into the cheese-heavy style that we oftentimes see from them on this map. So I kind of like that. It's a really cool setup that they have, a very dangerous setup, and as you can already tell, I mean, from the first pick onwards, we kind of knew already that this would hinge a lot on the Vikings, and this is where most likely Hazops, maybe your Nurok, have to really show their skills. So guys, this game is going to decide which team moves on to go to the EU Regional in the UK, and which team will find themselves again in the losers bracket playing for their tournament live. So guys, let's jump in right away in Towers of Doom and find out which team is going to take the best of 3 series here. Towers of Doom, always a fun map, and today also the map where we are going to find out which team is going to qualify first today. To the left side of the map we have Nurok on Greymane for mYinsanity. We're seeing Darkmok on Thrall, Hazops on the Lost Viking, Splendor on Uther, and we have Blumby on ETC. And to the right side of the map, the Sandwich Monkeys with Crosby on Li Ming. We have Phelox on Rhaegar, ADRD on Tacita, Lumpy on Sonya here, and ETF on top on Muradin. So yeah, in the setup that we are actually seeing right now, you can already tell that roles have been shifted a little bit. We have now the double setup, the double support setup on the side of Team Sandwich Monkeys, with Rhaegar Tacita supporting, especially of course Sonya at the front line, and that's going to be a very interesting match to say the least, because Sonya is going to be, she's going to reach God status in this game, whereas the Vikings are really what everything hinges on for mYinsanity right now, and Vikings already with the explosive attacks for Balog on level 1. It was actually kind of funny, especially in Korea, where we had like Hazops talk a lot to Arthalon, so mYinsanity and Cloud9, they had a little bit of banter going on, where Hazops was mocking the Vikings build of Arthalon a little bit. All in good fun, of course. I mean, like, it was not that the guys got really agitated about that, but it was pretty cool to actually see that back and forth. And Cloud9, like, really cool guys, with Hazops getting the kill against Sonya. Like, what? Eric, you little boss! He dies, but of course, oh my god, it's a double kill. Well, losing Muradin and Sonya for Eric, I'm not quite sure if that's really the trade that you're looking for, but that was very, very unfortunate there. Eric MVP for me personally in this fight for sure. And with the Vikings soaking the lanes, you can actually see that we have everyone else on the side of mYinsanity just like moving around. I love how ADRD just for a second positioned himself right here to deny a bit of experience to Hazops. Like him on his Tacita, he's really starting to make the Vikings' life a bit tricky. We're seeing, again, on level 1, the rolling like a stone. Power slide talents taken here. Of course, talent art has been changed a little bit. We talked about it. But now TSaM finds himself in a really awkward position and, yeah, kind of dead. I liked his zoning, don't get me wrong, but like when you see that rotation coming your way, you have to make sure that you get out of harm's way fast enough, and in that case he didn't. Reverberation build for Muradin. Crosby at the bot lane is trying to get his damage in, went into Power Hungry on level 4. We're seeing again a bit of pressure up at the top. Currently ETF is starting to jump out. There's like no hook or anything that can bring him back in, but there's huge pressure play that we're seeing from mYinsanity, and very nice Viking soak actually from Khaldor so far. Didn't really accumulate to anything just yet, except for that pressure on the map, but now that we have the first altar spawning, this is really where the Vikings are going to make their play. Either you have to try and get the altar with less than 5 heroes, or you have to realize, or you just simply have to accept that you're going to lose soak on the lanes. Already, Spirit Walker's Grace has been chosen. ETF is also there, trying to soak that as well. They should get that early altar, but the Vikings are doing their thing on the lane right now, and we have the Mercenary Lord talent taken as expected for them. With Venom now also claimed. Darkmog actually moving back out. Blumby gets a shield and is able to escape here, thanks to Uther, who went into the protective shield. But so far, no shots fired. Khaldor still with Eric being a little bit of a nuisance. But finally now the claim of the first altar in the game in favor of the Sandwich Monkeys. Now, of course, the one thing that's really important to note with this is that mYinsanity doesn't really expect to get these early altars. If they can, that's of course great. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. If they get a chance to claim those, then they're going to be like totally happy about it. But in this setup, for them, it's really just important to get an experience. They already have that a little bit. They are pushing the lanes, and later on, when there's more than one altar on the map, that's really the moment when they are going to try and make their play. Also, once that Khaldor is able to use his Vikings to really get the camps and then push in with the Mercenary Lord, that's going to be an important one as well. Good kill against TSaM here. That's, by the way, 4 kills against 0, already showcasing a little bit how strong these 4-man rotations are. That's the big advantage that we have when you actually push with the Vikings. In the middle of the map, we have Olaf taken out, so a bit of experience is going to be lost here, but he's going to make his way back in, and Sonya is falling at the same time now, up at the top lane. And, well, this is basically just explaining exactly what happens here with mYinsanity. They have the level 7 talent a little bit faster. They move with 4 heroes across the map while the Vikings are still soaking. And Khaldor so far hasn't really lost too much. Spin to win is going to help him with the wave clear. And he's already very busy starting to get all of these camps at the top. So he's getting the first one. Has to, like, recharge hit points a little bit, but then he can claim the last one there as well. ADRD with a vision. He's going to see that there's only one left, so that's a bit of a problem right now. He's going to try and steal that away. That would be cool. We're having Leeching Plasma taken. Sonya, as I said, together with the War Paint and Leeching Plasma, she's going to have a field day. And she's actually up at the top, and Khaldor is not going to have a chance to take this. I actually don't even know why he's like sacrificing Olaf Belok there. Is the rest of the team is rotating in. I guess he was just trying to buy a bit of time. And so they trade a kill again for a camp here, and they can take this down as well. It's of course a bit unfortunate that they can't really push in with it. Again, Mercenary Lord is incredibly strong on this map because it's also influencing the explosion of all of those mercs that you get, so you can more or less just like burst a tower down in seconds. And one of these bell towers is of course, like the more bell towers you get, the better for you then in the end. Just keep rocking, taken. We're seeing the follow through on level 7. Going over most of the builds here already. And the cleanse, by the way, for Uther and also for Rhaegar. But now it's the time when we have actually like a double altar. And in this case, Blumby is trying to get the one at the bottom. Nobody's interrupting the middle though, so that's 4 shots fired already against mYinsanity. And not really a lot of good zoning happening here at the bot lane. So we're going to see a bit of a battle happening in the mid lane here. But there's a pretty decent chance that the Sandwich Monkeys are going to get both of these altars now. The Vikings are soaking middle and also top. Khaldor is rushing away once more, but he's trying to push that bell tower in up at the top lane. Phelox, on the other hand, interrupted, so they're buying some more time. Very similar to Abathar play on Cursed Hollow. You're trying to just like prolong it for as long as you can. Good kill would be the one against Sonya, and they get it. They get the kill against Sonya. They had to, of course, get like, accept those 3 shots fired against them, but they have now the earlier level 10. In an ideal world, they would have hit the 10 before that channel was through, and then they could have like fought over it. We have play again already being used, the mosh pit, sundering, and go for the throat. And the top lane pressure against the lane here. Level 10.5. So this is really like the moment where the Vikings are starting to make that, have that impact that mYinsanity is looking for. Getting the lead in experience, getting the earlier level 10, and then trying to always stay ahead. And that's something that they're going to attempt to do right now. From this point on, they're going to be much more aggressive about trying to get those particular altars. So they sacrificed 3, and that means their core already lost 12 points. But now they are in a position where they can just like try and run with this advantage a little bit more. And let's find out if that's going to work for them. Because Sonya, again, is going to be the huge focus on the side of the Sandwich Monkeys. And now they have level 10 as well, with Wave of Force as predicted to interrupt the Mosh Pit on ETC. Here's the Sundering, slides in, Mosh Pit, baby. There we go. ETF does not have a stun. They try to go for Rega, and Phelox is about to fall. He is down, and now they go for the kill against Lumpy. Sonya is eliminated. Muradin is attempting to jump out and barely escapes. 800 hit points, 500, but still gets away. The 4-man pressure at the bot lane is working for them. 2-level advantage nearly, with the top lane with Phelox still being pressured heavily. And altars are spawning again. It's a single altar event on the other hand. Hazops in the mid lane again present, and we are seeing Tacita just moving from mid to top the entire time, soaking 2 lanes because they kind of have to. That altar is going to be very important down here, and they move back first to get some extra experience. Hazops needs to be careful about, like, oh yeah, Eric is just barely escaping this one. I mean, the idea of him is also to interrupt, of course, the bot lane here, and they're going to be able to... I don't think they're going to be back in time. I'm not sure. Phelox is already going for it, and yeah, they're going to get another channel. That's an important one here, actually. It's a really important one. It's 4 shots fired. Again, the kill against Sonya, but guys, once more, the kills don't matter. It's 10 kills against 1, but if you look at the core damage, it's 24 against 40 hit points. Muradin is dead again. And yes, all that experience translates into an early level 13 for mYinsanity, and they are able to do some incredible work right now at the top lane, with Hazops claiming camps and making sure that he just uses those. Look at how fast these bell towers are actually falling. So they are really getting the pressure in, but they have to also make sure that they are getting the damage against those, against the core. And that's going to be the big objective right now. With all of them having to go back to heal, they missed out on an opportunity to claim the altar down to the bottom of the map. But right now, they really have to start making a bit of a play. Shrink Ray, Showstopper being used, so full focus here on the power slide on 1, 4, and level 13. We're seeing with Giant Killer after follow through, the auto attack damage heavily increased on the side of Thrall. 1 bell tower at the bottom has been eliminated, the one up at the top 2, and now we're seeing the Vikings doing their thing. So 2 of the bell towers are already claimed by the blue team, and that puts mYinsanity into a position where they are putting heavy pressure onto the mid lane to get all of the bell towers here. And if they manage to do that, then the barrage is going to start, and the next altar is going to be incredibly difficult to handle as well. So already the first shot fired, and the reclaim of the top. Rotations on the map are going to be important right now. And mYinsanity is actually saying, like, guys, they can't do anything. We go for boss, and they can still try to go for the top bell tower before the next altar comes into play. So they're really controlling the entire map at this point, and that's the important part. That's 4 more shots fired. Altars are spawning. It's a double altar at this point. Shots fired again. And the top lane pressure is already up, and Hazops is starting to take the wave down. Everybody else went back to heal. Hazops with Eric at the bot lane. 13 versus 13 talents, but there's the 16. Great again for mYinsanity. Good control now, and the Vikings are really coming through. The Largen in charge is going to be incredibly important also if you're trying to flank with play again. If you set a flank up with play again, Largen in charge is going to be an incredibly important talent for you. Because you need to make sure that you have an opportunity to just like get a bit of a stun in so that you can burst the target down. 8 shots fired right now. Just in time, the bottom was reclaimed, the bottom bell tower, but still, both of the altars will let go. So the ARD and his boys making a decision here. They are saying, like, guys, we can't fight over these. We have 3 levels behind. We have a talent disadvantage as well. If we go for that battle, we are going to fall. We need to make sure that we get the bell towers while they are channeling so that at least we're not going to suffer too much damage. And all of a sudden, we have 24 damage on the core against 24 hit points against 27. And this is really what we're talking about. Another bell tower has been claimed. The 16 talents now also with the Benediction and the Speed Metal. And again, they rotate around to claim another one. So the Vikings really showing why they are just such an important and strong hero in this game. It's really the mid and late game where they are starting to make a huge impact. And as you can see at this point, we're having just like trades in bell towers. Bell towers at the top is claimed, they move into the middle, take the next one. Sandwich Monkeys have to react, reclaim the top, move into the middle, and at the same time we're seeing mYinsanity moving straight down to the bottom lane. and trying to take another one out as well. So with those rotations happening, there's an enormous amount of pressure on the side of the Sandwich Monkeys. They're always pressured here. And the Vikings are been, like, amongst all of this, they're still soaking lanes. Like, let's not forget about that. We have huge pressure play, but the Vikings still on the lanes, pushing, of course, the waves back that come out of the red team's base, and then allowing them to go straight for the bell towers again, even eliminating, in this case now, the well, or trying to, so that the lane sustain is going to be a bit smaller. Again a trade. Top, or like mids against like bottom. Double altar on the map, 16 versus 16 talents at least. When it comes to that fight now, with the Nerves of Steel, with the Stone Form, so a lot of survivability now on the side of the Sandwich Monkeys, and they need it. I mean, look at the kill count, 11 against 1. Yeah, you kind of need that survivability. Olaf is down. Bot lane is being pressured by Eric at this point, but we're having 5 versus 3 bell towers. And already, guess what? Yeah, Hazops is in position to soak the first one. Li Ming is killed, and well, that puts into an interesting position. Nice Divine Shield on Thrall, and the Mosh Pit slowing down Tassadar. Shots are fired again. Here comes that play again. Large and in charge already being used. The kill against Draeger. Hazops with a channel. ETF is going to interrupt it, but at the same time, Lumpy is in trouble in the middle. He's trying to go through that bell tower as well. That's not going to work out for him. He's rotating to the top instead, but that's the kill. And now we have 14 kills against 1, and ETF is being body blocked as the next bell tower is going to be attacked. They're not even going for the channel right now. They're realizing that with all of these heroes being eliminated, they can just simply just move to the top, claim another bell tower who's already incredibly low as is, and get another set of shots in. 24 against 22 at this point, and if they claim this one, it's gonna get even worse. Hazops already going for the next camp. Again, Mercenary Lord is incredible on this map, and here comes that channel, and of course another 6 shots already fired against the bell tower of the Sandwich Monkeys. 24 against 16. And guys, we talked earlier about a situation in which we had, like, how many shots? I think it was like 26 versus 40. That was a situation, something along the lines. I'm not 100% certain, but since then, was it 24 against 40 even? Might have been. Since then, though, we have seen an incredible play on the side of mYinsanity, and the Vikings really doing work. Now level 20 is going to hit next, and that's of course going to put another huge advantage into the hands of mYinsanity. For the Sandwich Monkeys, what they really have to somehow accomplish is hit level 20 themselves. Once that's the case, then they can really start to maybe like fight a bit more on eye level, but right now they're just like playing a catch-up game, and they are losing it, as you can see. We're having now already for the Vikings, we actually see Fury of the Storm taken. We're seeing Redemption also claimed. And again, the rotations with bell towers just being taken down all over the place. There's absolutely nothing else that he can do here. The Hunter's Blunderbuss, the Bowl of the Storm, twice, once on ETC, once on Thrall, and it's another bell tower exchange. And soon we're going to see triple events spawning on the map. And of course, once more, Hazops takes another camp. So that camp together with Belog is going to put incredible damage on this bell tower at the bot lane that was just recovered by the Sandwich Monkeys again. Boss is also up, and the trap set up against, oh my god, Muradin is down. They want to go for Li Ming now too. They might actually get her. The Ancestral Healing from Phelox was definitely a good choice. She would have probably died too. But that blow up against Muradin, a great trap here. The Bush meta once again making sure that Muradin was lured in and baited, and then they just simply snipe him away. Now it's another boss. That's 4 more shots fired. 2 temples or 2 altars on the map right now, but this is of course a disaster. It's at least a situation in which it is 4 bell towers against 4, but 24 against 12 points on the core pretty much tell the tale at this point. So right now we're having Hazops starting to push the bot lane as is, using his spin to win. At the top lane he's also really busy with 2 of his Vikings, and he's attempting to take another bell tower now, whereas the main fight is happening in the middle of the map as we're seeing the damage dished out. And over here looks like, yes, well, it was a nice attempt actually to go straight for the Mosh Pit and maybe get a kill against Rhaegar. Didn't really work out perfectly for them, but look at that, the damage output here once again. 4 more shots fired, and the Vikings moving straight into the middle. 8 points on the core, and guys, it's not going to get any better at this point. I mean, right over here, Hazops is putting the pressure on. The Vikings are interrupted as they're trying to zone, but the shots are actually still hitting the core regardless. So in the middle of the map, there's the 20 versus 20 right now. That's an opportunity that we just have to maybe make a bit of a play happen. With a level 20 talent, we're seeing also Tarasha's element taken. We're having at the same time a Storm Shield. Ignore Pain has been taken out, of course, as well for Sonya. I mean, no surprise there. The rewind for Muradin for the extra stuns. But the next spell tower has also been reclaimed by Hazo up at the top. And I mean, look at the experience amount for a second. 36,000 on the Vikings. 36k. That is how much Hazops was busy, like, overall in this game right now. Soaking experience, pushing lanes back. I mean, you've seen his siege damage output already a bit earlier, as another one is being claimed at the bottom. These guys are, they mean business. And again, it's only one more altar that misses, and then they are going to claim this easily. Look at the damage up. 160,000 right now in siege damage, against 124 that we are seeing for Li Ming. Bell towers are claimed all over the place, and once that we have the triple altar event, or the triple, yeah, it's going to be, of course, an absolute disaster. Looks very much like mYinsanity is going to take it. Their rotations are absolutely fantastic right now, and they already pushed the bot lane quite heavily at that. Huge commitment at the top. Sandwich Monkeys, they realize the only way they can win this is if they force a team battle and get more or less a team wipe out of it, and that's why mYinsanity isn't even trying to fight. They're just like trying to move back. There's the triple altar, and that should be GG. At this point, this is really more or less checkmate. The only chance for the Sandwich Monkeys to make a bit of a comeback in this case was to go for a huge team fight and get a team wipe out of this. If they can make that work, then they have a chance, but as is, this is looking very grim. Down to the bottom of the map, Hazops is there. AD already is starting to move in on his Tacita. We're seeing at the same time now also up to the top lane. Yep, Phelox, Crosby, everybody is just like in position right now, trying to go maybe for another kill. Yeah, Hazops is losing Eric. At the bot lane, there's still two Vikings. They are pushing AD already back as is, but the team fight up at the top. Yes, there's the mosh pit. Muradin is starting to get really low. They are aiming for Crosby on his Li Ming. Norok is there. They get the jump. Li Ming is down. And this is going to be the kill. Great play here once again. And now they can just like simply go for the channel. Or can they? Bot lane is still being fought over. Play again was being used there as well. AD already has to go for the interrupt, and he does. But Hazops is starting to move up to the top to channel this one. Rhaegar is down, and as we're seeing Muradin about to fall, this is going to be game. This is going to be it. There's the channel, and this is going to finish the game. GG, well played, and we are seeing mYinsanity with a victory, and they qualify for the for the EU regional final in the UK. Congratulations, well played, and GG.
Okay, everybody, that's it for the day. We had some really fun games here, and I hope that you enjoyed them and also the commentary. Of course, we're going to have more Heroes of the Storm action on the channel in the near future. So if you enjoyed the esports scene Heroes of the Storm, make sure that you hit that subscribe button on Khaldor TV and also like the video if you haven't done that yet already. There's going to be more European games. We're going to have more North American matches as well. And of course, if you're interested in the Chinese Heroes of the Storm esports scene, I'm going to have more games on the channel as well in the near future as those leagues start again. At the same time, though, if you have friends that are also interested in esports and in Heroes of the Storm, make sure that you forward the channel to them and share it with them. It was a pleasure casting for you today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed, as I already mentioned, and I hope to see you next time for more Heroes of the Storm action here on Khaldor TV. See you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.